Good day, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have Bushra Khan with us today. And Bushra, normally we interview folks who have already been here for like 5 years or 10 years and have established themselves in their careers. But this is a unique interview in the sense that Bushra has been here recently and is still trying to get into her profession of choice. But she's doing some really interesting things as we will get to know from her. She got to volunteer, and I don't want to steal her thunder. So, without having any further ado, Bushra, if you can give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself first and what you've been doing up till now.
Hello, everyone. So I'm just quickly going to start off with telling you all about a little about me. We moved, my husband and I moved from Dubai. We're from, of course, Pakistan. We moved from Dubai just about 8 or 9 months ago, late last year. And I'm the only one out of the two of us who's been looking for work because he was still keeping his job in Dubai. So I really had to get back to work after almost 3 or 4 years of being used to of the professional work life and everything. So for me, it was a new experience completely. Abhi, recently, what I did was I took up a volunteer assignment of working at the hospital for COVID-19 to help with the situation of screening patients and anyone who's walking into the hospital. Um, Honestly, if I was to tell you a little about my job hunt so far, so what could I tell you about it? I took up a lot of suggestions and a lot of feedback from anyone who's been in Canada already, and even people who are new to Canada who came around the same time as us. So I tried doing everything, tried to check off all the boxes. Nothing was honestly, I wasn't getting a lot of calls. People said Indeed will have jobs waiting for you. So I am an HR person, but I wasn't just specifically looking for HR roles. I was looking for anything that gets my foot through the door, anything to begin with as an office manager, any administrative job. Nothing was working out. Just then I came across this volunteer position that I found because of COVID-19. I took it up, and today I can say after 5 weeks of doing it, I'm done with it now, but I'm really happy with my experience. I think it's all about, it takes a lot of courage for people like us who've had the very privileged life in Pakistan or have had, um, you know, great jobs in Dubai or wherever to come down to do entry level positions, to do volunteer work. But I think it's all about being motivated to getting back to the work life or starting a new journey here completely.
Perfect. And what was your role at the volunteer? Like you were a frontline? Were you with the front line?
I was with the frontline workers, so we were given. My role was very specific. We just had to screen anyone who was coming in from staff, physicians, patients, visitors, anyone who was walking into the hospital. They had to get screened for COVID-19. So screening is when you're asking them a lot of questions about how they're feeling, if they're feeling okay, if someone. There were many incidents when we came across people who had tested positive for COVID-19 and they were standing hardly, I think, a meter away from you when you were dealing with them. But then there's like a whole procedure that they've given you. So if someone who comes in who's asymptomatic, then you know where you're supposed to send a patient. You have to send a patient to an isolation room. And if a patient is not in a life-threatening situation or if his appointment's not very necessary, then you have to deal with them in a way to send them back home and tell them that, you know, your appointment's been cancelled because all the doctors have even gone on leave, though, or they've taken up other positions in a hospital.
Indeed, this is a very courageous things that you did, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Apart from this, Bushra, what is your current like? I know this whole COVID situation right now, so this is hard to apply. But is there any specific strategy that you're adopting at this point in time for your job search?
I am. I think it's really difficult. Of course, the job hunt's been affected, and that's one thing that's majorly affected for people like me who've just. I was very hopeful. Right before working at the hospital, I was interviewed over the phone by a US company, which, and there's some jobs that you sort of feel like you start wishing and praying that they work out for you, because there's so many aspects of involved, like their office basically. So it's a US based IT company, and they're looking for an HR person. It's literally Saad Bhai, 800 meters away from where we live. So there won't even be TTC involved. So the location's perfect, the designation's perfect, everything just seems so perfect. But I think everything's been affected in a way. I was interviewed by them at a job fair that I attended. They called me, phone interviewed me, and then called me in person for a final interview. But just while I was waiting for them to get back to me, the whole lockdown situation happened, and I have only received one email from them that it's just their recruitment's been delayed. So I
No
think
worries. I guess it is what it is right now, the situation. I hope we all survive through this, and I'm sure
I
you,
hope
like
so.
many of you, will also survive through this. But we just wanted to take this moment today to appreciate the efforts, people like you who are doing them, and to
Thank you so
recognize
much.
them. So thank you so much for taking the time out today, and
Thank you so
best of
much.
luck with your future job search.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. I just want to say that the purpose of this interview and for you to reach out, even when you heard the second that you heard that I was working on the front line, even if it was just a temporary position, I just want to say to everyone who's actively looking for work right now, anything that comes your way, take it. The first week of my job experience working at a hospital on the front line, I did not know what I was doing. But you learn from whatever experience comes to you. I connected with a few people. I'm still actively looking. And yes, the job hunt's been affected, but I strongly feel that not getting demotivated, as hard as it may seem right now, just stay at it. Hopefully something's
Will
going to
come
work
out.
out for
Thank you
all.
so much, Bushra, for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Sarthai.
you.